So we just spent some time at Bryce Canyon National Park, and I wanted to share what it was like hiking there with my 2-year-old. So hiking with a toddler is a little bit nerve-wracking because he's not quite aware of danger. And um, I looked for videos and information about the trails and whether they would be friendly for a 2-year-old, and I really couldn't find much. So I'm hoping that this information will be helpful for you. So we took a very short hike. It was a 1.3-mile loop called the Navajo Loop Trail. And when we started out, we took the trail to the left that was towards two bridges. And that one was absolutely terrifying. It went down the side of the cliff. There were switchbacks that went all down the side of this open cliff. And the view was spectacular. But the experience of watching my 2-year-old holding my husband's hand walking down the trail with no fencing, no railing, nothing to protect him from falling off was so scary that I started crying. It was so scary. I do not recommend it. We strapped him into a baby carrier, and that made me feel a little bit better. But I highly recommend something to hold on to your baby or carry your baby where they're physically attached or strapped in if you want to take the trail towards the two bridges. But because it's a loop, what I would recommend is just going the opposite direction. So it splits after you go down a little ramp, and where the fence kind of ends, there's the trail towards the two bridges, and then there's the trail towards Wall Street. And I recommend just going down and up on Wall Street and not doing the loop, because that cliff that has the switchbacks on it is just not made for toddlers or mothers of toddlers who have anxiety. So that's my little report of Bryce Canyon National Park. It was stunning and beautiful, and the level of difficulty was actually pretty easy. I mean, the trails are wide and they're sandy and gravelly, so at some points we slipped a little bit, but basically it was just walking down the sidewalk. I mean, it's wide, there's plenty of room for people to pass when you crossed other hikers, and there's lots of shade. So it was a very comfortable hike, even in the hot summer sun, and I mostly enjoyed it, aside from the switchbacks down to the two bridges. But it was a pretty accessible hike. I would recommend, just to summarize, I would take the path to the right down to Wall Street, hike around there as far as you'd like, and then turn around and come back, because Wall Street is the coolest part, and that way you can feel a little more secure with your little guy. So